Quick note, guys, this is not president and vice president talking here real quick. This is actual us. A couple of days ago, we got a comment that led to an adult site. Please don't do that, okay? We got little children that watch our YouTube videos, so please do not do that, alright?
Yeah, it's totally uncool. We get that whoever it was.
It was supposed to be a joke
it,
and trolling because of the name of the video sounded like a adult film type video, but it wasn't, okay? So please do
and
not
it
do
wasn't even anything to do with adult situations. The thing that we had talked about was a tongue-in-cheek satire of romance comedies.
Yeah, it was.
That's what
It was.
A Recipe for Seduction. That's what the video was.
Yeah.
And that it's satire. It had nothing to do with that. So
Yeah.
having said that, please, 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 in the future, guys, do not put links to adult sites.
And if you're wondering, yes, we did report him to YouTube for this, so please just do not do this again, okay?
All right.
With that being said, let's get on into the intro.
Here we go. Hello, YouTube land.
Hello!
Oh, a little different intro from him. He usually just says, hey, it's your president and your VP back once again with episode 2 of Lifetime Movies, A Dude's Perspective. This time, it's going to be Night of the Twisters.
We're
finally
doing
getting it out there.
Yes, I love this movie, guys. I truly do. So, I will talk about this movie probably the most other than Dad over here. So
It premiered on February 11th, 1996.
26.
February 26th, 1996 on the Family Channel, which later became Fox Family and then finally ABC Family.
And it's also now known as Freeform. So
Now known as Freeform. So
Yeah.
it went through a lot of iterations. This movie does count as a Lifetime movie because in our eyes, a Lifetime movie can pretty much be any movie that is made for TV.
And it was also on Lifetime, the Lifetime Network, in 2017. So
It has a couple of named stars that you guys may have heard of, one of which has been featured on our channel before.
Devon Sawa.
Devon Sawa. You guys can go back, and I suggest that you do if you haven't. Go back, watch the Little Giants review. It's awesome. You'll love it.
Yep.
We really love that film, too.
Yes.
It also stars John Schneider, who's best known as Bo Duke from the Dukes of Hazzard franchise.
Yeah. This movie was directed by Timothy Bond and is based off of the book of the same name, Night of the Twisters, by Ivy Ruckman, which I ordered the book and I'm going to read it and possibly do a review on it later. So, who knows?
Yeah, kind of maybe expand the medium a little bit, guys. I've been thinking about some other things to help do with this channel, and let us know if you want us to maybe start doing some comic book reviews, too.
Yeah, or some game reviews, because Dad over here just finished Mafia 2, so...
Yeah, I might throw that one out there for you guys, tell you my thoughts on it and how it played and everything like that, and...
Yeah.
So let us know if you guys are maybe interested in seeing some of that, and hopefully we'll get that out there for you. But let's get on into this.
Okay.
So the movie starts with
A storm chaser, his name was Bob something, I forgot.
Bob
his name.
Iverson.
Yeah, Bob Iverson. It starts off with him kind of like chasing the storm system.
And he's
120 miles outside of Blainsworth, Nebraska, which is where this takes place.
That was at Northeast, though.
Yeah, Northeast.
And he yells Twister.
Yeah, he's like, hey, tornado! What? Twister!
Which, that part kind of got me a little bit because they're like 100 feet away from each other, maybe 200 feet.
Yeah.
He should have been able to hear them, but that's neither here nor there.
and then, so there's a tornado just like a few hundred yards away from them. He's like, honey, we need to get to the tornado shelter. Which then it fades into a bike race which is where this town has all that they can basically look forward to every year. It's like one of the most boring towns in America and possibly Nebraska. Like,
Well, I guess it's maybe a pretty accurate portrayal, though, of a typical Midwestern small town
Yeah.
with, a festival of some sort
Which,
being their only thing that helps drive the town and keep the town alive.
yeah. So actually, this movie is based off of the book, which that's based off of a real life event, which was the Grand Island, Nebraska tornado outbreak, also known as the Night of the Twisters tornado outbreak. Which there were 7 tornadoes that hit the town. There were 7 killed and 132 injured.
And
So-
this movie ramps up the amount of tornadoes and puts it at somewhere between 10 and 15.
Yeah.
Devon Sawa plays Danny.
Dan Hatch.
Dan Hatch, and his dad is played by John Schneider.
It was Jack Hatch.
Jack Hatch. And he
Yeah.
happens to own a bicycle repair shop in the town, basically.
Yeah.
And he sponsors the bike race, and it turns out that Jack Hatch had been like a former high school or collegiate quarterback, and he has expectations that his scrawny kid is going to be a football player.
Which, actually, it's revealed later on in the film that he is actually not his real kid. That's actually his stepson, because his real dad actually died in, like, a plane crash, I think. So it's really sad, honestly.
He's trying to do this bike race, and he ends up pretty much finishing dead last because he
wasn't first, though.
He wasn't first, but he ends up finishing dead last because he wrecks his bicycle.
From a football throw. Somebody was, like, throwing footballs in the middle of the road, and
Yeah.
yeah.
But he ends up winning a brand new bike anyway,
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah, because a bunch of names got blown out, and they're like, well, if that was one of you, better luck next year. And so they draw his name. They're like, Dan Hatch, come up here. Come on, Dan.
He's got a friend named Arthur who, like, eats all the time.
Yeah. And so so then they are, like, hanging out at this park, and Arthur is, like, setting up a prank for his sisters, which then leads into a really cool line.
Now, I didn't
honestly.
realize that his sister Stacy was Danny's crush.
Yeah, well, it's literally revealed right after.
Well,
the prank.
I understand. I know that, but I
he's
didn't. It just dawned on me just now.
They literally just reveal it after the prank. He's like, oh, come on, you're totally nuts for her.
Yeah, I know
like,
that, but I didn't realize that the crush was his sister.
Did you not realize that, Dad, when they revealed that line?
We're getting off topic.
Anyway, so there's a line in here that's kind of a cool little, like, foreshadowing of what Devon Sawa's future movie would be, which would be Final Destination. But he's like, man, I've never won anything before. And then Arthur's like, that's what my grandpa would call a red letter day, when something good happens and you don't expect it. And then Dan is like, well, then there have to be black letter days. And he's like, what, when something bad happens? And he's like, well, what would you rather have, the good stuff or the bad stuff? And he's like, it doesn't matter either way. If you know that something bad's gonna happen, but you still can't prevent it. And it's like, I get that. Final Destination. It really puts a new twist on the line too. So it's really cool.
Yeah.
So anyways, his sisters come, and then the prank happens, and then, well, it's revealed that Dan has a crush on his sister, and it's like, who cares?
Yeah, his stepdad, Jack, has pretty high expectations and pretty much wants him to become a man before being a teenager.
Yeah.
And that plays into this movie, too. It also plays into him growing up a bit because as things are starting to take shape, they're at home, Arthur and Danny, and his mom has to go to work at the bowling alley. Danny's mom does.
No, it's a restaurant.
But it's like next door to the bowling alley.
Yeah.
So she has to go work, and he has to babysit his brother, and then the tornado hits, and then they end up in the basement.
Which,
where afterwards,
all right, Dad, be quiet. I'm going to talk about the practical effects here real
Okay.
quick. All right. So one of the cool things about this movie is there's no CGI used at all, except when they show the twisters. Which, come on, obviously that's that
it'd be very hard to do actual twisters.
Yeah. So, anyways, but when they like destroy stuff in this movie, they actually destroy it. So it's like there's one scene when the tornado's hitting. You know, the house is getting destroyed, and there's like pots going through windows, and then they pull a freaking refrigerator out a wall and destroy the wall. And then afterwards, after all this is said and done, the house is completely destroyed. You see that there's like branches all over the place, and the only thing left standing is like this brick chimney like thing. And it's just so good, guys. I cannot stop talking about how good the destruction is because they use so much practical effects.
I will point out that we probably watched this as a DVD rip on YouTube. You can find it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it was extremely hard to see things because the whole thing pretty much takes place at night.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if that was because it was basically standard def on high def because we have we have high def TV, HD TV.
Yeah.
So that's one nitpick that I can have. Then there's kind of another line of dialogue a little bit later that's kind of funny and corny, but it does like come out of nowhere and like come out of the movie, take you out of the movie briefly.
Yeah.
After the tornado and Rex's house, he gets Arthur and his sisters together, and they come across the bank manager, and the bank manager is dead. So they take his car, and they come across. They go towards the storm shelter, and they.
All right, so real quick, I'm going to take over because Dad can't stop laughing. So, parents, this movie is rated TV PG due to disaster-related elements. And there's also a dead body, so maybe view it first if you find... honestly, there's really not that much wrong. There's really nothing, like, too major in the movie. There's just, there's only one dead body, and then there's also a bunch of destruction that may scare some children. But anyways, Dad can't stop laughing after a line, so I'm going to take over here. So anyways, afterwards, they come across this road, and then, which is the road that leads to his grandma's house. And so Dan, he then tells Arthur and his little sister to get out and take Ryan with them. And then he basically floors the car and goes right through a roadblock with Stacy in it. And you could tell that she's impressed. Because it's just like, it was more like, as he says later on, it was more out of desperation to find his dad. And so then he goes, and then he finds his grandma. His grandma's kind of delusional because she got hit on the head pretty badly.
Yeah, and she's also under some debris, too.
Yeah, she's also under some debris.
She stupidly went to go check and feed her animals.
Yeah, because the animals are getting scared and stuff. Again, I'm going to talk about the practical effects used here real quick. Because, again, they destroy a barn, which is, like, one of the most awesome things you can do in a movie is destroy a barn. And they did it better without using CGI. But, anyways.
Yeah,
Sorry.
So they do eventually find his dad, who's pinned under a truck, and they go to get help. And the guy tells them, hey, you got to go on. And that's where the line comes from.
Yeah. Dan, you need to go. You need to go with your friends to the community shelter. He's like, no, I need to go with you.
I'm coming with you.
I'm coming with you.
It's just weird the way he said it. And so they do rescue his dad, and they get back to the storm shelter.
Which is actually the sheriff command post.
And then they have to go.
That voice crack. Oh my goodness. What was wrong?
They go looking for his mom, and the three of them together, the baby, Danny, and his dad in a Jeep. And he had stowed away in the back seat.
Yeah.
And so they rescue his grandma.
Be quiet. Be quiet.
I'm trying to speed this up so we don't end up doing a really, really long video here.
Well, there's other important stuff that you're missing as well.
Fine. Take it
Fine.
away.
Anyways, so then, Dan and Stacy, they kind of share a moment together, and then it's like there's a couple lines where it's like, Dan, you're stupid, can you not take the hints?
Yeah, because he's mentioning his stepdad and how Stacy's like, well, do you like him? And he says, yeah, I guess I do. He works hard. He's good to my mom. And does he know? And he's like, yeah, I think so. And she goes, well, sometimes you can like somebody and they not know. It's like it was right there. So.
Anyways, all right, Doug, you can go back to what you were talking about earlier.
So they do find the mom, and then they make it back. But as they're coming back, there's like a vehicle behind them and a vehicle in front of them. And the vehicle in front of them was the storm chaser. And the vehicle behind them kind of gets sucked into the tornado like a toilet bowl.
And then me and Dad are over here. They're like, they dead. So, but by the way, this entire thing is supposed to be the climax. There's like two tornadoes in front of them. There's like two tornadoes behind them, 2 or 3 of them behind them.
And they make it back to the storm shelter, but in the process, like
it's an underpass.
The underpass. Like half the freaking town is destroyed by these tornadoes.
It's awesome. Again, the practical effects are so good because there's like an F4 tornado chasing them, and they're just like destroying, and this tornado's just like destroying this town.
So
and
they make
throwing branches into other buildings. It's so good, guys.
So then it ends, and then it ends with not one, but 2 epilogues.
Yeah.
Now I don't know of any other movie ever that has ever ended on 2 epilogues. But you know what? That kind of makes it a little awesome.
And then he's like. Later on, Devin, he's like in the second epilogue, he's telling what's happened to the other characters and how what's happened since then. His little brother Ryan has gotten a little heavier. His grandma had died. Him and Stacy are dating, so that means he doesn't hang out with Arthur as much anymore, and he's the student council president and all that. And it's
campaigning on better food for the cafeteria, obviously.
Yeah.
Anyways, he's going to end up being like 400 pounds when he grows up.
Anyways, that concludes the movie, and I cannot stop talking about it.
Oh, by the way, guys, we were a little too lenient on A Recipe for Seduction. It is not a 4 out of 5.
Oh, yeah.
It is actually more like a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, it's not. I think the highest rated one was actually like Happy Face Killer with like 3.5 out of 5, which that might.
But this one's probably gonna beat it just barely. But so final rating for me, 4 out of 5. Reason being, it did have some points where it was really, really dark and very, very hard to see.
Again, it was probably a DVD rip on a standard def TV, which DVDs are obviously
but then again, it could have also been the way it was lighted. I understand that you were shooting at night and stuff and doing this, but you could have a little better lighting. I'm not saying to make it look completely like daylight, but enough to where we can kind of see some things.
Yeah.
So that kind of knocks it down just a tad bit, as well as Arthur was just a tad bit annoying as well.
For me, it is 4.5 out of 5. It's just so good. What really bumped it down was, again, the whole lighting situation. Other than that, it's completely perfect. Other than
so, final rating for this one, guys, 4.25 out of 5, making it actually the highest rated Lifetime movie so far.
Yeah. But remember, this one wasn't made by Lifetime. It was made by somebody else.
Yeah.
So, of course it's going to be better than most Lifetime movies.
Yeah. And before I forget, because we didn't do it in the intro, if you do want to become a citizen of YouTube land, all you have to do is hit the subscription button below. So get that out of the way. And of course, as always, if you have seen Night of the Twisters and you think that it is the absolute worst made-for-TV movie you've ever seen, and it never should have aired in the first place, well, you're wrong, but that is your opinion. And just remember, we're just two idiots with a cell phone camera. Our opinions do not matter, except they actually do, except they, because we have a YouTube show, except they actually don't. So, having said all that, we'll see you guys next time, probably a little bit later today, where we're going to do Walker episode 4 for the final episode of Walker Texas Ranger Wary. So having said that, guys, peace and love from Denny and Son, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.